I have been a businesswoman for many, many years, and to be able to use everything that I've learned from marketing and finance and PR and community relations, all of those things, to be able to put that all together, to be able to support members of our community, to be able to run such an amazing organization such as this, that's where I'm supposed to be. That's what I'm supposed to do with all of those years of learning. Still learning, that's for sure.
That's today's guest on Sidebar, Monica White, President and CEO of Food Share of Ventura County.
Sidebar is brought to you by Monterey College of Law, San Luis Obispo College of Law, Kern County College of Law, and Empire College of Law, located in Santa Rosa.
Welcome to Sidebar, featuring conversations about optimism in action with lawyers and leaders inspiring change. And now your co-hosts, Jackie Gardina and Mitch Winnick.
Mitch, I am very excited to have today's guest on, Monica White of Food Share of Ventura County, an organization that I'm intimately familiar with because I live in Ventura County. In full disclosure, my wife Lauren spends a lot of time volunteering for Food Share. In fact, she had her last volunteer day yesterday, and then the volunteers all went out for a meal afterwards to celebrate the time that they've spent with her and to wish her well in her next adventure. It has a special place in my heart. I'm really excited to welcome Monica White, the president and CEO. So welcome, Monica.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I'm sorry that I missed Lauren's farewell. We so appreciate all of our volunteers. They make it happen.
Jackie, I'm particularly pleased to talk about food and food scarcity because it's one of the things that I would hope every one of our communities is worried about. It's not that it's ever been a small issue, but it seems to be an even larger issue now, while availability and cost and distribution and access to food at all levels, and particularly for the underrepresented and children in our communities. I'm looking forward to hear about this amazing story of the Ventura Food Bank and what Monica has done for us. Monica, welcome.
Well, thank you. I look forward to sharing. This is my favorite part of my job.
Our season this year is about optimism in action. When I look at the history of Food Share in Ventura County, it really represents at its start what a small group of people can do. I wonder if you would share with the listeners the origins of Food Share in Ventura County and then what it's come to now.
It's quite amazing how much Food Share has progressed over the years. It's been nearly 50 years since a group of friends decided to help feed veterans who were living under a bridge in Ventura. It was a group from a church and a group of friends, and they said, we need to help our neighbors. So they started gathering food to be able to help those in need. It grew exponentially from there. So they started in a 2-car garage. This was in 1978, and started actually gleaning food from behind the tractors in the ag fields in Ventura County. They would go to the farmers and say, the tractor's already gone through, there's carrots, there's lettuce that's still there. Instead of putting it down into the earth, can we go pick it up? And the farmers back in 1978 said, yes, that would be great. We would be honored if you would do that. So the volunteers started doing that. The first year, they collected 34,000 pounds of food. And they were just so happy with all of the carrots and celery and all the things that were growing in Ventura County. As you can imagine, lots of strawberries. That's what they collected the first year. Put it in their 2-car garage, and then outgrew that very, very quickly. The city of Ventura allowed them to be able to use an outdated fire station that wasn't being used anymore. They leased it for $1 a month and then outgrew that very quickly. And we moved in 40 years ago into the facilities that we're at today to be able to do 20 million pounds of food, feeding 250,000 people a year. It's grown so much, and Jewel Petty, who was one of those founders, she is still alive and still checks in every once in a while, making sure, Monica, are you still feeding people? And I say, yes, Jewel, we are feeding people. Don't you worry. It's hardly recognizable from the 2-car garage to the fire station to where we are today, in that It's just such a massive distribution organization, being able to help feed so many more people than what I think they ever anticipated or ever even dreamt of what food share would become.
Monica, one of the things that impresses me is you've grown from a handful of volunteers literally picking the surplus food out of the field. And now I see from your website, you've networked the U.S. Department of Agriculture, you collect from volunteers in the community, you've got the grocery stores involved, you've still got the farmers involved, and then you get deals with bulk purchasing. This is a big business, isn't it?
It's funny. That's what we say. The good news is that we're feeding lots of people. The bad news is we're feeding lots of people. The need has not decreased since 1978. If anything, it's only grown. We source our food and our funds from a variety of different sources. And while in the beginning, they may have been doing just following the tractors, we don't do that anymore, but we still work with our farmers. We still work with the Port of Hueneme. We get a lot of bananas from them. We work with all of the grocery stores, anybody who is selling food, anybody who is packaging food, distributing food. They may have food at the end of the day that they no longer can distribute or sell, but it's still good. We call it rescue. So we're rescuing that food, bringing it into our network and getting it out. 190 different nonprofit partners work with us to be able to get that food out through their distributions, which could be a church, could be an after-school program, a shelter, a hot meal site, or even just a distribution in a parking lot. We purchase a lot of food as well. About 20% of our food we're purchasing in bulk, the things that we need on a regular basis. As you can imagine, tuna, rice, beans, oatmeal, shelf-stable milk, the things that we need to have all the time that we may not get donated to us. We're buying those in the big 53-foot trailers. We move those very quickly. And then we also get food from the government. USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, provides food through the Farm Bill. That is to be able to feed low-income neighbors. And they give us the food, and then they give us a small amount of dollars to help pay for that distribution as well. But each one of those categories, and also food drives. Some people love to be able to collect food from their neighbors, like a Boy Scout troop or a Girl Scout troop, or people have a big donation bin in their lobby of their business. Those all work together to be part of that diversified source of food.
And it seems, Monica, diversification is really key. I'm just curious, with some of the cutbacks at the federal level, how has food share been affected in terms of the resources they might get from the federal government?
Question of the year, that's for sure. So about 20% of our food does come through that Farm Bill and through the USDA. It comes through Farm Bill, then it goes to the State Department of Social Services, and then they set it out to food banks throughout California. There were some smaller programs that had come since COVID that were canceled. And so we did have cancellation of whole trucks of chicken and milk and eggs and things that were really, really important to us. While it does not shut our doors, it hurts. And what happens is that we have to go out and buy that food that we were expecting to be able to serve our neighbors. In those cancellations that we've seen over the last few months with the new administration and the new executive orders, it's about $500,000 worth of food that we had to backfill to be able to do that. The beauty of food banking is that we are always seeking assistance, but when we really need help, when we ring that alarm bell, community steps up. Our Ventura County neighbors, they want their neighbors to be taken care of. Everyone wants to be able to help their specific neighbors. We're part of Feeding America, which is the National Hunger Alleviation Network. There's 200 food banks nationwide, but we each have our own territory that we cover. And so any of the food and funds that we source from Ventura County stays in Ventura County. Your dollar or your can of food or your hour that you're volunteering, it all stays here, and it's to help your neighbors.
Monica, I want to get back to the positive in just a second, but an element of what Jackie was talking about, we see here in Monterey County, as you know, a very active agricultural community. And what we've heard from the local food bank is that not everybody realizes with the immigration law issues with ICE and the lower amount of harvesting that's going on, there's a lower amount of food available, And that has impacted our local food banks as well, because the sources they would normally get, as you've talked about, wholesale food and surplus food, some of that has dropped very precipitously in a local level. And they too have had to do what you've said, which is seek other sources.
You're absolutely right. And each community, I believe, handles this differently because everyone's sourcing comes from different models. There are some food banks that need to purchase almost all of their food because they're not so blessed to be living in a community that grows millions of pounds of raspberries and strawberries and all the wonderful food that Ventura County is able to provide. Same with Monterey County. But we have seen that we're calling it the ripple effect, in that there's been so many unexpected consequences from all of these actions, from ICE, from USDA, the executive orders, all of those. We're seeing it's changing almost weekly. And while I hate to use the COVID comparison, we are almost feeling like we're going through a disaster again, and that we have to meet and we have to be able to pivot, and we have to be able to figure out, okay, how do we deal with the situation as it is today? Because tomorrow it may change, and it is changing, and it's changing so quickly that we need to be able to figure that out. While we're seeing sometimes an increase in the number of people in the food lines, we may see the next week a decrease in that people are scared. They're scared to go be in a position where they might get targeted by ICE activity or anything like that, or they're scared to go to work because there's been ICE activity. All of those things, it keeps changing week to week. What we do as a food bank is just try to be able to meet people where they are and to be able to give them the food that they need, and that's really important.
Monica, I think some people, and maybe those among our listeners, would be surprised at the percentage of people in their communities who go hungry, especially among the kids. I'm wondering if you could speak to how food share works with schools or after-school programs to provide resources for the children in communities.
That is something that I think everyone is always surprised when we share with them about the state of hunger in Ventura County. We served 250,000 people. So that's 1 in 4 in just our county are considered food insecure, meaning they don't know where their next meal is going to be coming from. It's a very large number when people say, well, I'm not seeing that. Are you sure? We're such an affluent county. It is so expensive to be able to afford your rent and your car, and the groceries, unfortunately, come in at the end. How can people make ends meet? It's at the end of the month. They have to pay their rent. They can't pay 90% of it. They got to pay their car payment. They need their cell phone to be able to get, work, all of that. Where they can make ends meet is going to a food bank or food pantry to be able to supplement what they can get either through SNAP or they can get at the grocery store. But all of it, it's never enough. And so that's where we come in to be able to provide fresh, nutritious food that they are looking for, not just cans of soup. It's fresh produce. It's things that you and I love to have on our table. That's what our neighbors are looking for as well, and that's what we provide.
Along those same lines, one of our friends' daughters set up a food bank at CSU Monterey Bay, and many of us were shocked to realize that college kids may have their tuition and books taken care of. For the most part, they have housing taken care of, but just like the same list you just gave, at the end of the monetary list is food, and they're just short on food. And they set up a food bank just for college students.
I love hearing that. We have several universities here in Ventura County, and we have a pantry at every single one of those. They come and they get food from us as well. We're happy to be able to help our college students. We just know that you can't study if you're hungry. You can't concentrate in class. That is something that we have seen, being able to go beyond the stigma, being able to admit that you need help. That is a really big thing, to be able to go into a pantry that is being set aside for anybody in need, where you're not judged, where they're grateful that they're coming in, and just to be able to make it so it's a good experience so they'll come back. They'll come back and they'll get whatever it is that they need on a regular basis.
Along those lines, I saw pictures of what they were doing, and they made it seem like a little grocery store. It wasn't as if you were waiting in line and getting sacks of surplus groceries. It does have a stigma to it. They came in and they got a cart and they were able to shop and get the things they needed. And I thought, oh, what a great idea. I mean, that was a socialization element of it that I hadn't really given much thought.
We call it client choice. In that one of the things that we do with our rescuing of the food and the food drives, the thing that is important about that is it gives a variety. It gives a variety of different types of items that when we buy 30 pallets and a 53-foot truck. It's all the same tuna, right? Or same kind of peanut butter. But if somebody wants chunky, somebody wants smooth, somebody wants vegan or whatever it is, we have almost every single kind of peanut butter when we do a peanut butter drive that people can then pick for what they want, what works best for their family. Again, just giving people a little bit more than expected, which is always lovely.
I just want to key in on something that you said. A lot of the people that access your food bank or any food bank are working. These aren't people who are necessarily homeless or who are without resources entirety. It's that what they make in a full-time job isn't sufficient to cover a month's worth of groceries. So those are people who have an income. And then we have seniors who are living on a fixed income. So how is it that you serve seniors?
We have a program that is another government program. It's called Commodity Supplemental Food Program, and it's for boxes. We call it senior kits. And so they're specifically for our seniors in our community. We get government commodities. They give us, again, a small amount of dollars to pay for the distribution. But it's a monthly box. In there is 35 pounds of food that has been specifically put together for our seniors. It's built by a nutritionist, so it's actually called a prescription, and it's high protein, low sodium, making sure that it's things that are really good for our seniors and things that they want as well. In order to qualify for this, you have to be over the age of 60, live in Ventura County, just for our area, and be under that federal poverty level for our area, which is about, I believe, for a family of two, it's $24,000. It's a low amount, but it's all self-certified. So if a senior shows up and we show them the form, do you qualify? Yes, you can receive the box of food every month. If they don't qualify, we have other food for them. So we want to make sure that nobody ever goes hungry.
Well, because I'm thinking that I'm not very good at math, but $24,000 is about $2,000 per month in a given year. And I just wonder how many of our listeners could imagine attempting to pay for everything with $2,000 a month as the only resource that they have. So I'm relieved to hear that the poverty level isn't the be-all and end-all for being able to get resources.
When somebody comes to get food, we don't require much at all from them. And that's very important that we only ask for their name, their address, and how many people are in their household. But if they don't want to provide their name, they don't necessarily need to. We can put anonymous, we can put the address of the pantry, we can work with them.
Jackie, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on our theme, optimism in action. Many of our guests began their pathway of a career in public service at a young age. Some were inspired by their parents, some began working for the greater good in college, and some, like our students at Monterey College of Law, became inspired to use their law degree to focus on public policy and support for the underrepresented members of our community. Our family of nonprofit accredited law schools that include Monterey College of Law, San Luis Obispo College of Law, Kern County College of Law, and Empire College of Law provides working adults with the opportunity to attend a part-time evening program at one of our campus locations or by attending our online hybrid degree program. If you're interested in learning more about one of our law school programs, go to www.montereylaw.edu. My wife, Debbie, served on the executive board of the local food bank here in Monterey County for a number of years. And one of the things that came up that I would not have thought about were cultural preferences, particularly in food. We think about that culturally. We have family preferences, the type of food you grew up with, just something basic such as the difference between white rice and brown rice. They found that sometimes they couldn't give away certain types of food because they hadn't thought forward enough about some of the cultural preferences of the menus that were going to be created from the food they were picking up.
We are listening to our neighbors and what it is that they would like on their family table, on their dinner table. We have a program specifically for our farm workers, and I'm sure Monterey has a very similar program as well, in that while the food that USDA is buying on a national level and sending to all the food banks, some of that food is not at the top of the list of some of our community members. Our farm workers, they have been very specific that they want masa, they want oil, they want hominy and fideo. And so that is part of the food that we purchase to make sure that we are giving them the food that is culturally relevant and culturally important to them.
How do you respond to people who say, beggars can't be choosers? You're getting free food, you should accept what you get, and the food banks shouldn't be bending over backwards to try to appease certain preferences.
I respond to that is that there is plenty of food available. Even though we only spend 7 cents of every dollar goes towards overhead, 93 cents of every dollar goes towards programs and services. So we do our very, very best to be lean and nice. We're not mean. We're very, very good stewards of our donor dollars. And with that, we can keep our neighbors' preferences and needs in mind. What good is it for us to be able to go and buy food if we haven't asked them what kind of food would they like to receive? We're kind of doing a disservice to our neighbors. We know that our unhoused can't use cans without a pop top. They can't use something that has to be refrigerated or warmed up. They need utensils. They need the wet naps. They need peanut butter that comes in a pouch. Those are the things that we are listening and we're providing. And while someone, yes, can always look at the contrary side of this, of that, hey, they're getting food, isn't that good enough? Why can't we be better? Why can't we go, the step beyond? Why can't we use that 93 cents of every dollar to give them exactly what they need and what they want? And with a little bit of dignity and respect, there is nothing wrong with that. And that's our mission.
Well, Monica, your passion and your fervor about this is both encouraging, engaging, and it's catching. Tell us how you got involved in this. Clearly, this is something that is very meaningful to you. This isn't just a job to go to.
This is such a wonderful chapter of my life. I was a business major. I worked for the for-profit side for many, many years. I was so fortunate to be on the board of Food Share when I was working for the local newspaper. And I was fortunate enough to lose my job at the newspaper, and this position became available. And because I had such a tie with the organization already, with volunteers and the staff and the board members, it was kind of a natural fit. So I stepped in as an interim CEO 8 years ago. They did a nationwide search. It was a great decision on both of our sides to be able to stay on as a full-time, working with a board that is not only visionary, but supportive. They put in hours, they put in money. They're so willing to be able to do whatever it takes. Using their expertise, and that's the way that I look at it as well, is that I have been a businesswoman for many, many years, and to be able to use everything that I've learned from marketing and finance and PR and community relations, all of those things, to be able to put that all together, to be able to support members of our community, to be able to run such an amazing organization such as this, that's where I'm supposed to be. That's what I'm supposed to do with all of those years of learning. Still learning, that's for sure.
That's what makes a job fun, when you're still learning.
Oh, yeah. Every day it's different.
One of the things that we like to talk to people about is how they can engage. So not just in Ventura County, but nationwide. Obviously, every county has its version of Food Share of Ventura County in their community. I know that volunteers make your organization function. You've got your great employees, you've got your great board, but you've got a host of volunteers. How can people get involved in the kind of work that you do in a way that's going to be meaningful to their neighbors?
I always say that our volunteers are the third leg of the stool. And without that third leg, we would fall. It's 4,400 volunteers, 45,000 hours they donated and provided to us, helping pack boxes, helping pick up food, drive trucks, distribute food. Every community has their own food bank, and they all depend on volunteer support as well. We've had many people who have shown up, who have moved into the community, and they said, hey, I worked at the food bank and wherever they were, I want to be able to do it here. And while we're all different, at the core, our mission is still the same. And so if you're willing to pack boxes or drive a truck in Atlanta, Georgia, guess what? We have a job for you here as well. We like to make it as easy as possible. Everything is on our website. You can sign up online. You can come in. It takes a little bit of training, minimal amount to be able to show you how to pack a box, but we want to make sure that everyone's safe, so they're doing good work, but we want them to have fun. We want it to be an experience, that we want when they come in that they feel valued, that they feel at the end of their shift they've done something to help their neighbors, and then we want them to come back. Many of them have actually come in as staff. They love it so much and they show up every day, and we said, hey, we can give you a paycheck for that. We have a position for you. Volunteerism is so important to our work. I think every nonprofit is that way.
You get up every day and you do this at a time when I think we're going to probably have an increase in need, at a time when outside forces are affecting the community in ways that aren't integral to the work that you do, but affect it. What allows you to get up every day and say, I love my job and I want to keep going to it? What's the optimism for you?
I don't want to lose sleep at night with the thought that someone out there doesn't know how to get food. It would break my heart if there was somebody who said, my kids are hungry and I don't know where to get help. And so that is the optimism. If anything, that gives us even more drive to be able to show up tomorrow and do more work. The joy and seeing that gratitude and seeing that appreciation and knowing that we've made a difference in someone's life, that never gets old. Never.
Well, I was going to say I can speak just anecdotally from Lauren's experience. She is filled up after she comes back from volunteering at Food Share. And so that sense of community, not just community with fellow volunteers, but community with the neighbors that come through to get those resources is just a gift. So thank you.
Well, Monica, thank you very much. This is exactly the type of story that we like to share on SideBar, Optimism in Action, not only because of the good work you're doing, but because it reminds every one of us that there are activities like this in each of our communities where people can volunteer and get engaged at every single level that you've described. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
Thank you.
So, Mitch, one of the things I really appreciate about what Ventura County Food Share does is, as she said, they serve the community in which they reside. It's incredibly sad to me how many people are in need of these services. And I think those numbers are only going to go up with the cost of groceries going up and with benefits going down. And I really hope that people heard her message, that those of us who have the resources to actually not worry about being hungry every day, not have food insecurity, can give back to our neighbors in the way that Food Share does in Ventura County.
And Jackie, one of the points she made is when you talk about giving back, it isn't just money, it's time, it's effort. Anybody can pack a box. Anybody can hold out a helping hand to provide food to their neighbor. And that was a message that she brought loud and clear. And I agree with you. I think we underestimate the food insecurity that is throughout many of our communities. Organizations like Food Share of Ventura County have stepped up for now 50 years to provide that type of a service. And it's not just charity. It's charity with dignity. It's charity with love in their heart about helping their neighbors in one of the most fundamental ways to make sure that their families and their children are not hungry at the end of the day. I can't think of a more optimistic, positive message and mission of anybody we've talked to on this program.
Once again, I want to thank everyone who joined us today on Sidebar. And as always, Mitch and I would love to know what's on your mind. You can reach us at sidebarmedia.org.
Sidebar would not be possible without our producer David Eakin, who composes and plays all of the music you hear on Sidebar. Thank you also to Dina Dowsett, who creates and coordinates Sidebar's social media marketing.